issues. So before we begin, the motion for this round reads, this House opposes the prevalent narrative that hard work pays off, which is motion 1. So everyone ready? I'll start with the Prime Minister. So I would like to invite the Prime Minister to deliver the speech. Here. So Prime Minister, if you're ready, just let me know by the count of 3.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, in this 21st century, hard work itself isn't sufficient. The reason behind it is because everyone knows the importance of hard work, and every single person are putting their absolute effort, hard work, which causes exhaustion. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to explain hard work pays off. What we government side characterizing pays off as an absolute thing. Pays off is something has to be overall, which has to give you the fulfillment, the excitement, the happiness, including family, quality life, the self-time that you give yourself. That is what we say pay off in our government side of the world. Pay off doesn't necessarily be like you only have hard work through it and you pay off for like a proper position in your company as to reach the CEO, which causes exhaustion again. In the current status quo, parents, teachers, and students especially are getting inputted with the stigma that we have to, that hard work pays off. In our side of the world, we are not opposing hard work, but we're just saying the narrative that hard work pays off, the stigma the opposition side of the world is putting into, especially this kind of people who I mentioned, like teachers, students, that is the problem here. We are not opposing hard work, and hard work leads to exhaustion. Why? Because you try to prove something continuously to the person where hundreds of people are doing the same exact level of hard work, you get exploited. And next, for what does hard work look like? Studying till late night with like a full amount of like every day you study till late night, you don't have time for yourself. Like medical officers working overtime. This does not mean they're getting enough paid, not getting enough compensation. Even though they get the compensation, it's not fair enough. So what happens when these kind of people don't get the things that they work for, like the proper salary, proper compensation? They're not effective. Their productivity decreases. I can prove you with the rates of doctors and nurses drop out of their practical duty after 5 years of MBBS course, after 5 years of hard work. Why is that happening? For example, in Penang recently, 30-hour, a girl died is because of 30-hour on-call shift of a medical officer. That is called hard work here. That is called exhaustion here. And next, we come out with like what is also looking in the status quo where poor versus privilege. Both of these poor and privileged does hard work to obtain whatever they want. But are the poor and the privileged here getting the same solutions? No, because the privileged have always something extra, some connections. Like for example, how students from STPM and SPM go for universities. We have, even though how much of hard work, same grades we get, there's some people still higher than us because they are privileged people. Wait, hold on with your POI. And next we talk about like how our status quo, or how are the opposition, how are the government side, we are telling that hard work exists, but it also comes together with skills and knowledge. For example, when you tell an SPM student that you have to have hard work, only you have that hard work will pay off. You have to assure me that the hard work pay off, because when after you graduate, they will not only see your academic side of it, they will see your skills, they will see your representation in competitions, which also has to be put into that person's brain. Okay, what's our burden here? Our burden is that hard work doesn't guarantee compensation. Next, the talent outweighs hard work. In our side of work, the talent outweighs hard work. And third, inequality exists within hard work. Why is it true? Because the world really is going fast. Hard work is to achieve something takes time. Hold on. Hard work to achieve something takes time. Like long-term leads to exhaustion, like what I say. And to success, there's many different ways. It's not about depriving your life in early stages, especially in public servants, the stakeholders. Like for example, public servant and especially our students are getting involved in this entire debate. And again, coming to like success have many different ways. Like it's not about depriving your life. Hard work is not equal to sacrifices. Okay, I get it. The opposition is going to come out and say, oh, you're not teaching how our kids from early stages, like, oh, you have to sacrifice to get the things you want. Yes, but this sacrification is like really overboard until they believe in your stigma, saying they believe in the narrative that, oh, hard work will pay off, where that if I put hard work, I will be successful. There's no such bullshit, because you have to have an overall absolute thing in as an individual, and not only hard work pays off. And yes, coming with your POI, please.
Isn't the remedy to systematic oppression working hard to fix the system?
Okay, working hard to fix a system. Okay, for example, I've already said in my framing that we are not opposing working hard, but we are saying that working hard comes with other elements like talent, like skills, like other knowledges. Like, it's not like we are opposing hard work, right? Okay, so why is it relevant for this debate today is because to improve the quality life, you can get to spend time for yourself, for your family. But in your world, in the opposition side of world, you are not teaching anything else. You are just telling that, okay, you want to get 10 A's in SPM. Hard work is enough. But no, smart work also can include going extra tuitions, going with team. Because when you say hard work, it believes that hard work, that's the mentality of students, is like you study every day. That is the hard work for students, for SPM people, but they don't understand that they can get the knowledge from like collaborating with their friends. They can go out for lunch and still discuss about the same subject, and they can also like go for tuitions. They can they can also like study effectively with certain methods. Like that's all what we're trying to talk about, and it's not like studying every day kind of thing. And coming into our main argument today, it's like hard work coming that hard work does more harm than good. Like, why? Because millennials prove so hard to their boss to be the CEO, to conquer the next position in their company, but they get exploited. There's no promotion. Why? Because as I've stated earlier, that everyone is doing the same effort. Everyone is so what is different in you? They will find, because nowadays interviewers, like, what is different in you? Everyone is active. Everyone is putting hard work. Everyone has good grades. So what is etc.? What is like exceptional in you? They are finding that. And even though like you get the promotion, for example, even though you are like hardworking and you get the promotion, the exhaustion continues, because you will be fighting for an even more higher position. So this side of the world, in opposition side of the world, is that the burden that you have to prove, the opposition has to prove that under the proof that the hard work for the privileged, under the privileged, that the hard work still off for underprivileged people. You have to prove that the hard work pays off for even underprivileged people. And let's do a weighing a bit. Like, your world will hard work pay off, but you have to tell me the assurance that it will pay off compared to other alternatives that we actually give. So with that, proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for the speech. So right now, I would like to invite the leader of opposition to deliver the speech. So if you're ready on the count of three, just let me know.
Okay, am I audible and visible?
You are audible.
All right, cool.
Right.
I prefer my POIs to be in chat. I promise you I'll take one. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. We agree. Maybe the narrative that you have to work hard always in order to achieve success may not always be true. Otherwise, Elon Musk may not be the richest man on earth. Maybe a garbage man who works 7 days a week would be the richest. But at least it provides a sense of hope for people that things could change if only they try hard enough. The first observation that I want to make about the government case is that they're having a flippy-floppy stance, because they want to still celebrate hard work, but they still tell people that they do not have to work hard, they just have to work smart. But why would they work hard if this is all for nothing? Because the aspiration that the side opposition is trying to bring is that they can achieve something, is what we support, that all that they do is not 2 ways. Because absent of this narrative, you're not celebrating these efforts. You're not telling people to work harder. You're not telling people to try harder. But instead, you just tell people that if your efforts does not materialize to anything, therefore you should give up. And if you're not born into a family, or if you're not born into a genius, you can never amount to anything. Secondly, let's just move on to setup. What does it mean for your hard work to pay off? It means that there's a net benefit for people who work hard. It does not have to be huge wins. It can be incremental changes. As an example, being able to buy ice cream for your family, earning credit by your boss. The conclusion of this the definition of paying off is that our benefit is not only restricted to huge material gains and winning every single time. Incremental changes, and when you see yourself improving every single day, it also means that your hard work is paying off. Maybe you cannot do these tricks before, but because you trained to do these tricks, now you can do those things. We think that's still a win. What does the narrative mean? The framing for this narrative is that narrative has always been aspirational as opposed to being true. Things like the American dream or SME stories of pulling themselves by the bootstraps. As narrative has always been to motivate yourself. This is what hard work is telling you to do. That if you do hard work, it's likely that you can achieve success. The importance of this is that opposition retains narrative, because the people that work hard have no choice but to work hard. To tell them that their hard work would not pay off is telling them that their effort is futile and they cannot do anything if they're not a genius. This narrative provides assurance and validation for the hard work that they have contributed for so long. So how does this narrative manifest? People who work hard tell their stories and inspire people to not give up and try to make their own businesses. This gives motivation to people that they can also overcome adversities if they try hard enough. They say, or governments say, that people's lives suck. We agree. And that is the point of Shakar's POI. The only way to improve your life is by working hard rather than letting it go to waste. There is no designated line for success anyway, right? When people believe that they're paying off, they will still continue to try in order for them to achieve all of this. And thirdly, hard work is pretty relative anyway. What does it mean for you to work hard as a 16-year-old will be different than a doctor who has a family? This means that whatever hard work you do would still be celebrated by the people around you. Independent of this narrative, people would still have to live their normal life anyway. They still cannot change capitalism, and the world is still controlled by the rich. Absent of this narrative, we're just telling people to give up instead of trying harder. Independent of outcome, you look for ways that you can try harder and harder, at least motivate people internally and externally. But before my argument, are there any POIs?
Agree or disagree? Hard work does not actually pay off to everyone.
Sure, but it paid off for a huge chunk of people, and it provides them a sense of motivation you have to prove, or you would not work on the majority of cases. Argument one, this provides a sense of personal agency. If you tell people that the efforts do matter, they would at least feel like the fate is upon them to change. Instead of them having to be lucky, being born into the right family, having the right brains, they can make the changes on their own, and they can shape their own future. They would feel like they have the power to make the changes of their own lives. Secondly, people celebrate efforts. People will still commend you for the effort that you put instead of only looking at the success. That is why when we look at success stories, we also look at the hours that they put in and the sleepless nights that they had to do in order for them to become a doctor to begin with. We celebrate all these efforts and we support them as a community and we give them help. Families understanding their efforts and people around them motivating them for them to keep doing so. We create more avenues for success because progress is incremental and pays off every step. We create a culture of celebrating self-improvement and facilitating growth. People are more likely to grow when you tell them that hard work means that they are more likely to achieve success. This is a narrative that's pervasive. Everyone believes in it. The impact here is very simple. Firstly, people are more likely to grow. They would join more trainings in order for them to improve themselves. They'll reflect and improve the next time. Sure, you may not win the first time you join a debate competition despite putting several hours into it, but instead, you can give a 7-minute speech maybe in the next tournament. Maybe you can win 1 or 2 in-rounds during the next tournament. That is the incremental change that people would get. Secondly, mindset that their efforts do matter and could actually change their fate. This is the growth mindset that we cultivate for people to have, where you learn with every step of the way. And even if you fail, you learn why you fail instead of feeling like this thing is not for me. In the worst case scenario, sure, you might not grow at all and you suffer from a plateau. But because you believe in yourself, that maybe when you do what you do, and maybe if you learn and you just reflect whatever that you did, you're likely to improve. This is what changes because you give them the motivation. Because otherwise, you're just telling people to just give up. Because whatever that you do, you can never improve your life. While success is affected by privilege and opportunity, we agree with that. The belief that hard work matters provides a pathway for people from diverse backgrounds to aspire and to achieve. Stories of people who succeed through effort, maybe a minority, being the president of America against odds, shows that hard work can bridge some gaps in opportunities. Now, instead, you tell minorities that they can do it as well, instead of having to blame their condition of life every single time, that because they are born this way, therefore that's why you can never achieve all of this success. What is the comparative and opposition? This is a self-assuring pathway because this means that you can take control of your own life and you can make those changes inside yourself instead of having to wait all the world to change in order to facilitate to you. You create your own luck instead of waiting for luck to come rolling at your feet. Payoff is about journey and incremental change. This means that people are more likely to be able to pursue all these incremental changes because they see all these things. These small types of validation excite people to chase their goals. This means that people are more likely to try harder. And even if you can see tangible change, which is like a huge change at the end of the day, this narrative gives assurance that they are still in contention in order for you to create this change. You are satisfied that you're continuously building towards yourself. You're continuously improving yourself. This means that you maintain this aspiration, translate into more sustainable growth and on individual level. In weighing that, in our best case scenario, we provide people the self of when people win because they actually try hard enough, they will celebrate all of these wins because they feel like these wins are based on their own efforts. This is why they would maybe they would be more proud of those wins and they will be happy if they get all of these wins. In the worst case scenario, sure, they might not succeed at the end of the day, but at least it provides them the motivation and the journey that matters. All these things prove that how people are more likely to grow and they are not likely to give up, because what opposite side government have to defend is the world where people feel like their efforts does not matter. They do not do any changes. They're not lucky, therefore they just have to give up in their lives.
All right. Thank you, Leader of Opposition, for that speech. Now I would like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister to deliver the speech. So the count of three, just let me know, and I'll start.
Give me a minute, yeah? All right, I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, opposition today have only mentioned that hard work would produce self-improvement, motivation, and the journey only matters. Now, but how many of these stories are getting heard? That's number one. Number two, even if these stories are being heard by people, most of the people that talk about their journey, their hardship in life are the minorities. Sure, we do concede to the fact that it would give some sort of motivation, but to see that minorities have to work 10 times more harder than a privileged person, we tell you that hard work doesn't actually pays off, in fact. Now, as what my Prime Minister has mentioned, what do we characterize as pays off? That it gives you a sense of self-satisfaction. It gives you a sense of happiness. It tells you that you don't have to work so much more harder compared to a privileged person to obtain the same goal. Thus, coming into my rebuttals today. Now, the leader of opposition have mentioned something about, we should celebrate the small wins. We should celebrate, giving self-treats by ice cream, for example. That was one of his examples. But we don't think that this is not the successes that we want to promote to the young generation. We don't want to give you small successes. We're more focused on the bigger picture. We're more focused on the future. In fact, because what is the point of these small successes if you cannot reach the same goal as a privileged person? That's number one. And number two, yes, what's the clarification?
Yeah, so what would you rather have them do instead?
Who?
The minorities.
We tell you that that's what we're trying to prove today. The only thing that we have to prove today that hard work doesn't actually pay off. You need more talent, you need skills, which I would go through during my argumentations later. Now, we tell you that the only thing the opposition has given today is as like things that are comfort blanket, things that aren't actually tangible for these minority and underprivileged people to hold on to. We tell you that in today's world, there's still inequality within hard work. How is that? So I'm going to be separating this into 2 sections, talking about women and education. Now, we can take a look at today's world, for example, the recent America election, how Kamala Harris, by having extremely good qualifications, by having extremely good manifestos, and even the right objectives, yet she lost the election. Why? To a man, to someone who was a rapist, who was convicted of felony. All this because a woman was standing. So we tell you that even if Kamala Harris worked as hard as Donald Trump did, she wouldn't win the campaign, and it has been proven today. Now, we tell you that women have to work 10 times more harder to even begin to climb the corporate ladder. And why is this true? We tell you that women have to face more stigma, more discrimination, sexism, and even if they do land a job with the qualifications, skills, and talent, they still do have to work 10 times more harder within the corporate level itself. And they aren't being deemed highly or even respected as much as men in the certain positions that they land. Why is it important that we acknowledge this, ladies and gentlemen? We tell you that hard work doesn't actually pay fair wages, and we can see that people are actually fighting for this true cause. Number two, we also tell you that hard work doesn't produce the same opportunity. And thirdly, because of men's dominance, women's hard work don't even see the light of the day. We also do concede to the fact that even when men land a job in the corporate ladder, they do face racism. They also face discrimination, because we tell you that Black men have to work even more harder compared to a white man. And even then, we can see that hard work is not equal. Someone has to work so much more harder compared to a privileged person in order to get something that would pay them off. At the cost of what? At the cost of their health, at the cost of their mental health, at the cost of their resources, money, and etc. And secondly, talking about education, everyone these days work hard to obtain straight A's, getting a great CGPA. And usually these great results should guarantee you a spot in your courses of your preference, right? Because all these years worth of hard work should in fact pay off. But no, in today's world, we can see that people are still struggling to obtain a seat in a university, even in government universities. And even if they do get a seat in their preferred university, the courses are usually not aligned with their wish. And why is that so? Because hard work isn't enough. People easily get in with money. People easily get in with connections. And that's something that's undeniable. So to say to students these days, to say to young generation that, oh, hard work will pay off, you just have to try harder. When in fact, even if they do try harder, the outcome doesn't guarantee you something that's positive, right? And why we tell you that this is problematic? Because like we say, the underprivileged, the marginalized community, the minority suffers the most. This is problematic because these are the community that are putting so much more hard work, so much more time, money, resources, wasted on tuition, wasted on taking care of the children, all on the sole hope the oppositions are trying to give through hard work, that they would gain a seat in university, that they would get qualified education. But no, we can see in today's day, even like I've known many friends who've gotten like straight A's and forfeits and not even getting a seat in government universities. So how is this proving that hard work pays off? How would this motivate students to try harder? Imagine trying so hard for 10, 11 years. Yes, your POI?
Yeah, if you think everything here is a waste, then what do you want them to do?
No, we're just trying to prove that hard work doesn't in fact pay off. We're telling you that hard work is not the sole fact that's proving to people that it will pay off. Talent pays off, skills pays off. You don't have to necessarily work so hard in order to get something that would pay you off. Continuing, by the way, so we're telling you that students who have worked so hard for 10, 11 years in order to get a preferred course, and yet they don't, how would that motivate them even more? How is that a motivation? And how would hearing journeys of more minorities not getting equal opportunities would motivate them even more? So on our side, we're telling you that that hard work doesn't in fact pay off. Connections, talent, money especially is what in fact will pay off in reality. On their side, we're telling you that they are fooling students that they are secured with years worth of hard work, which in fact in evidence it's not. And for all those reasons, we're very proud to propose.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for that speech. Now I would like to invite the Leader of Opposition to deliver the speech.
Alright, hi. I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Khairul. Okay.
So just let me know on the count of three if you're ready.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Right.
Oops. The cleaner at my faculty works from 9 to 5 every single day. And she is a hard worker and always smiles at me whenever I greet her. And she probably makes much, much less than most students, businessmen, and lecturers that she cleans for. Gov seems to suggest that working hard only matters if she makes $1 million by the end of her life. But I'm sure she is not thinking of that at all. She's thinking about her husband, her family, her kids at home. She's thinking about survival, and it's quite relatable for all of us. What does this mean for the debate? It means, number one, working hard is quite relative. People can always reject the narrative of privilege in place for survival. So we reject the fact that Gov assumes that you only get the payoff if you get that $1 million. But secondly, this also proves that working hard is endless. So you won't actually fail because Kamala, I'm sure, will get a second try at winning the presidency. What we're proving at the end of opposition is simply that the purpose of narratives is always aspirational and that we always should work towards that. And for so long as we motivate more people to work harder, we already win this debate. Couple of things I'll do in my speech. I'll give you 2 arguments and I'll give you some housekeeping in between that. These arguments are already going to take down the majority of the speaker before me. On the first argument, on how hard work is the bedrock for social justice movements, the premise here is how activists make up the foundation of the movement. People who are activists fund rallies, they organize meetups with politicians, they paint the banners. This is good for visibility, to build trust within these communities and for community outreach. But obviously, this takes a lot of work and it's incredibly tiring. This results in activist burnout. We admit that this happens anyway. On both sides of the house, social movements will still try. But the difference is on Gov, they give up on working hard because it's going to fail anyway. And this lends to the same language that Gov argues. Gov says that why are you going to work hard? The system is out to get you anyway. But social movements are built to defeat the system. There will always be a struggle. When women get abortion rights, it gets overturned. When trans people get the right to become trans, gender reassignment is blocked. It's difficult to always get social engineering because it's organic and it's long-term in nature. What happens on Gov when you give up is, number one, movements compromise. They horse trade and forego their values, but they're horse trading on human rights because they give up on their principles. Because why would I want to keep fighting if I know that I will always get blocked by the Republicans in Congress anyway? But secondly, they will not lobby anymore. Less people will show up to the rallies. Less people will donate. And sooner or later, nobody shows up. Because why would they show up? Because it doesn't pay off in the future at all. People, the suffragettes, would have given up just because they were met with violent oppression in the UK. But thirdly, what happens on Gov is that it encourages other people to give up too. You are met with sarcastic looks when you show up at the rally, and eventually nobody does. It's a cycle of continuously discouraging others, and this results in the entire collapse of the movement itself. The comparative is simple. We sell a promise of belief to these people. It's never actually the outcome. It's the feeling that you can make a difference. Activists sell a promise that it will pay off in the future. And it shares this promise to people in hopes that they donate towards this promise, that they lobby towards this promise, and they open their doors towards this promise. Gov robs this promise away because you never let these people have the ability to pay off in the future at all. What is the weighing? Gov says people are suffering. We agree, but Gov has failed in proving the counterfactual as to how they get the roadmap to stop people from suffering. At the very least, on our side of the house, we motivate people to keep lobbying, and its attempts to change the public policy, the company policy that exists in the circumstances that Gov highlights, this takes down the entirety of the argument on Gov. Now, let's do some housekeeping, because Gov's biggest push is just the worst case. I've already noted how this is very, very extreme, but we'll still deal with it. They argue the worst case is the system hates you so much and it's impossible to change even if you work really hard. I'm being generous by dealing with this. There are 2 responses. The first is, even if you fail after you work hard, that's fine because there are still transferable skills. So if Kamala fails in the presidency, she can use this as a rallying cry to fight for legislative change in Congress and to become a trailblazer outside of the executive halls of power. But secondly, and this is a more nuanced response, the stories of the people that get screwed by the system are a testament to the oppression that they suffer in the first place. Their stories are part and parcel of the obstacles that they had to face. And this is incredibly important for role modeling effect, but also for collectivization. It attracts people to fight for that cause far more because they see that this person works so hard but is still unable to be successful. But secondly, even if, and it is absolute worst case, even if at the end of this of human history these people will still fail, this is fine, because the fact that you can pay off gives you that sense of validation in yourself, that my life is not meaningless because I work towards something at the end of the day. You feel comfortable with your human experience, and that all is the only thing that matters in your moments of weakness. Second argument then, on how the world needs delusional trailblazers to innovate. Before that, I'll take a POI if there's any. 3, 2,
Hello.
yes.
My POI was that do you really think that the payoff of something having to try again is a payoff?
Yes. Okay, second argument. The world needs delusional trailblazers to innovate. This narrative is for everyone, so this argument engages with even people who are rich. Innovation inherently requires you to work hard. You are thinking about something that doesn't exist yet. Did the person that thought of flying to the moon think that it was probable? No. But did he think that it was possible? Yes. The Wright brothers soared the first time they took to the skies. No. The Spotify stopped when they saw that the monopoly of radio attempted to take down their market share. No, the benefit to working hard is, number one, discoveries will exist more. Discoveries need infinite amount of time and effort to get any semblance of success. Clinical trials need to be consistent in order to be successful, and you have to dissect the failures of the previous clinical trial to correct the next the ingredients in the future. The harm on Gov is they will stop the first time that they fail, because what's the point? There's so many resources and skill and labor invested in this. There's no point. But the second harm on Gov is that entrepreneurs will always fail, give up the first time they fail. But the problem is entrepreneurs are the trailblazers to innovate society. These are the people that think of what a mob is, what a fan is, and these are the individuals that will fail the first time that they met with a roadblock. What we're showing here is that we give them this treadmill that keeps on running, and that's the guarantee that we get a better society. We take this space.
Thank you, Deputy Leader of Opposition, for that speech. Now I'd like to invite the Government Whip to deliver that speech. So if you're ready, just let me know on the count of 3.
Just a moment, I want to get my notes ready, sorry. Okay, hi, am I audible? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, on Team Up today, they are saying that hard work provides the comfort to people to try harder. But on our side, we say that this false hope is damaging. It is causing these people to actually suffer consequences of the narrative that hard work pays off. Because at the end of the day, there is no confirmation that it actually pays off. So to start off, let me answer the question of the statement hard work pays off is merely a reference statement that Up seems to be think is going to weigh in something substantial in the mindset of people. But the thing is, we don't see any application of it. They say that their argument is that it is giving people hope, to try harder, to aim for something that is they think that if they work hard enough, they can aim above their standards. But the thing is, on our side, we believe that they kept asking us what is our alternative. So here am I to answer. On our side, we will say be realistic. For example, let me give an example to illustrate this illustrate our argument. For example, you're an Indian high school student aiming to pursue law in college. You are not Bumi Putra, so you obviously cannot get into government uni. The quota is too minor for you to get into. So be realistic. Pursue law in private university and apply for scholarship. Do not think that your hard work getting straight A for SPM will allow you to get into this government uni. These are this is an example of how on our side we want to say to these people, hard work does not pay off. Be realistic. Think smarter. Go for things that is achievable on your side, on your capabilities as a person, as a minority, as a person of color. So, moving on to the clashes of the not clashes, sorry, to the rebuttals of today's debate. On op side, their argument is on the op side, they say that this narrative provides people to celebrate effort, to get self-improvement. Celebrate effort. Okay, celebrate for what? To what end? You keep on celebrating, you keep on comforting them. Oh, you're doing such a good work. Keep it up, keep it up. And then to what extent? To what effort do their to what fruit do their effort bear? Because at the end of the day, for example, millennials, let me give the status quo. Millennials these days, they work overtime in the hopes that their boss will give them a promotion at the end of the day. There are two outcomes to this. First of all, they do not get a promotion because sometimes their hard work or overtime does not actually prevail and giving them a promotion. On the second outcome, they do get a promotion, but they have to keep up their momentum of hard work. The overworking and the stress will cause them to actually burn out or actually just quit all at the end of the day. So the hard work does not pay off. It is just a blanket of narrative that says that if you want something, work for it and you will achieve it. But the thing is, it's not true because it does not pay off at the end of the day. Yes, I'll take the POI. POI?
Yeah. Do you think justice is real?
I do believe that justice is real, but everything has its own little implications. There are if you're trying to say that hard work and justice are in correlation, I would like you to clarify that because not now, like in your opposition whip, because justice itself is something different than hardworking. Because in our realistic world, there is always someone with more political connections. There is someone with more family background, more money, and at the end of the day, us with only hard work, we cannot achieve what they can achieve. So moving on to the second rebuttal of today is on their side, activists make up the movement. So they agree that it will cause our activists burnout, but they say that it is to change the system. Let me ask you, how long have women activists have fought for women's rights? Since the dawn of age, they wanted equal pay, and until today, we have not gotten equal pay. And even if you say that let's just buy into their analysis where they say that this activists, because of their hard work, they can actually bring up this issue. But the thing is, they bring up this issue through political connections. They hire people like Ariana Grande and Megan Thee Stallion to talk about these issues. These people have connections. It's not just hard work. It's because of these connections that they can actually bring up this issue. So the third thing that they argue is that how much hope. Okay, is their argument is mostly about hope and how it actually achieves something. So let's move on to the clashes of today's debate on both sides of both sides of today's parties. So on our side, we have talked about how on our side of the house, we have talked about how talent and genius is always going to overcome these people who are hardworking. So at the end of the day, it does not pay off. On their side, they compare that everyone should be celebrated for their hard work so they can try harder again and again. On our side, we show that these people, sometimes realistically, your hard work will be overlooked by people with talent and genius, because no matter what, hard work isn't talent, hard work isn't genius. On their side, they say that if you try harder, that is enough of payoff for you. But on our side, we are giving realistic expectations to people so that they do not get burned out or they do not overwork themselves to the point that they do not see the payoff that it would provide. So let's discuss the best case scenario and the worst case scenario on both sides today. Let's start with that side. Let's start with our side. On our side of the story, our best case scenario is that people will succeed without the toxic narrative of hard work. They realistically go for what they can achieve, and they absolutely nailed it. they go for it realistically, and they get what they want. That is our best side. And on our worst case scenario, people give up on like criticism. People give up on like certain things that they want because they realistically know that they can achieve something else other than what they truly want, and that is their realistic expectations. On their side, best case scenario is that people achieve with the narrative of hard work, and on their worst case scenario, people overwork and suffer the consequences of their actions itself, and they still do not get the payoff of it. So on our side of the house, we are actually providing a healthy mindset that you will not get overworked if you think realistically. On their side, their worst case scenario is that people will get overworked and still not get the payoff of it. And with that, we are propose. Thank you. Yeah. No. Yeah.
All right, so thank you, Government Whip, for that speech. Now I would like to invite the Opposition Whip to deliver their speech. So if you're ready, just on the count of three.
Okay, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. It is the little kid from Malacca who decided that maybe Klang Valley is the place where I need to be. Maybe it is worth saving every single little money that I have to buy every single amenities or facilities that I can afford to, so I can go to these competitions and possibly be part of their Instagram page and showing off to my groups of friends. This little kid is now successful because this little kid believes that hard work pays off. And this is the kind of narrative that not only uplifts the lives of minorities like this little kid from Malacca, but it also uplifts minorities in a sense where they know already that life is terrible. I have 3 issues I want to talk about. First of all, how does the narrative interact with people? Secondly, how advocacy relies on this narrative and only on this narrative. And thirdly, innovation deriving from delusions is an absolute must. But before that, I'm going to give you 2 different observations, right? The first observation is on the government case, because I think the government case did not involve at all. We already concede that we know minorities struggle structural barrier. We know privilege exists. We know birth lottery is real, and that only certain individuals are lucky enough to be in the top 1% to succeed, even without this narrative. The very fact that we concede this motion panel comes with the additional burden of explaining what happens next. And throughout the entirety of the opposition case, we have been proving to you, and we have weighed a lot of things relentlessly as to how our side is much better in a world that is so terrible to the extreme cases that government purports. But the second part to this observation is that government also considered that they believe in hard work, they just don't believe that hard work pays off. If they believe in hard work, what is then the likely outcome or the conclusion to all of this? Because that is the question that they have to answer if they want to tell their black child that they cannot be the next CEO of Microsoft because that is reserved for white people only. This is the kind of harm that I think government did not want to concede. The second observation I want to make in this in this debate is that the government concession to saying the counter prop was to be realistic. Not only is it slow, that the fact that it came in third speaker, but secondly, we have been realistic under the side of opposition, right? Because we tell you that it is the fact that we concede to what life is all about and how we want to be realistic about it and how we change and tune our goals is what is important. For example, you as a Mexican immigrant in California, you probably cannot be the next CEO because you recognize the structural barriers that bars you from being a CEO. But at the very least, maybe this janitor job can land you an opportunity for you to create your own sanitation company. This has been the model for a lot of Mexican immigrants at the end of the day that uplifted their lives to having like more social capital in society. Moving on to my first issue then, on how does this narrative interact with people? Government in its entirety gave this one entire case of saying that narratives only forces people to work hard and nothing else because it pays off. Then this comes with the premise that people do not recognize structural barriers, or at the very least, they ignore structural barriers, but they still work on towards it. I have 3 responses to this of different pieces of weighing. First of all, our case in first directly engages with this because people recognize structural barriers. The weighing here is what do you do then, right? Because we push people through hard times with this narrative. Immigrants obviously know that the fact that they escaped from a country where it didn't give them a lot of personal liberties now into a country that gives them a lot of hope. This is the kind of American dream that these individuals strive from, to the very fact that it pushes them to do things that are required of them in order for them to succeed. Sure, they cannot work in a corporate job, but it's the little obstacles and the little things that they like run through are the things that matter. We push people to critically think how they can succeed. So it's not true when government said that, oh, the only thing that people care about is working hard. No, it also makes them critically think about how they can work smart as well. It's the very fact that, oh, maybe if every single immigrant is in this type of job, then maybe I go to something else that requires way more demand. Maybe I'll try to work at like an AI company where I can be their test subjects, for example, right? These are the kind of like instances where these people have different ways or avenues of trying to work hard to get to where that payoff actually comes from. But the second piece of weighing here, panel, is that this is a narrative motion, meaning when you oppose one form of narrative, another narrative will prevail because societies run on narrative. When government's narrative is only that, oh, skills and talents pays off, then they self-internalize, right? I think my first two speakers already did a good job at explaining why this is terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to add on why, like, as a minority, it's not only that you have no incentive to work hard or just stop there, but you also already crystallize on the fact that, hey, these are things that are just birth lottery benefits. So because of that, that's precisely the reason why glass ceilings in minority communities will never be broken, because they know that they can't see themselves up there, so they just stay down there and probably live a more terrible life. The third piece of weighing is simple. Even if you fail, and this directly engages with government's whole contention, right? We said that because this narrative is encompassing of the entirety of hard work, little changes, for example, my boss likes me, maybe I can get a promotion soon, or I have a lot of sales this week. These are self-validations that what you do is meaningful for you and that keeps you alive, because like life is already hard. Before I move on to my other parts of weighing, I'll take a POI.
How realistic is your American dream and how achievable is it for the minorities?
Number one, already considered that they know they're minorities and they know they might face white racist people. Number two, they don't have to strive to be the CEO. They can strive to start with the little things and work their way up. Again, it's the journey that matters, and it's the little things that they see that they think that it can work for them is what gives them that benefit. Again, if my boss likes me, maybe I can get a promotion. And that is self-validation. That itself is already good. And that is what hard work pays off means, is the little increments in life. Second issue then, on why advocacy relies on this narrative, I think this is very much simple, right? Because these groups relies on hope because it drives them. And the reason why this is true is because advocacy is mentally straining. It's the constant debate that you have with radicals. It's the constant telling them that they're wrong, that it becomes very hard. At the point where you do this inside of government, you give up because you think it's not good enough for you because you can't see any light or glimmer of hope. Third issue then, on why innovation derives from delusion. I think we've already made it clear that delusion is what makes people good, because all of this has been about is perception. If you believe in yourself that whatever you're doing is good, that itself is an inherent benefit because it gives you the daily motivation drive to push you towards these challenges. That's when you can create really good and really amazing innovations. Thank you.
Thank you, Opposition Whip, for that speech. We now move on to the reply speech portion of the debate. To begin the reply speech, I would like to invite the opposition reply speaker to deliver the reply. Here. So if, wait a moment, let me change the time first. So for the reply, just let me know when you're ready.
Okay. I'm here. I'll tell you when I'm starting. I have one question. Actually, I have three questions. Is hard work real? Is justice real? Is success real? All of this is unproven by God. there are two observations that I want to make. The first is Gov wants to be successful, but this assigns a burden on Gov to prove that they will be successful. I know the motion says this house oppose, so technically they don't have to have a counterfactual, but debates evolve further than that. Because they say and claim this as a benefit, they have the burden to prove this benefit, and therefore they have yet to prove it, and you cannot credit any of their impacts because they haven't proven this link. The second observation I want to make is the entirety of the Gov case rests on the assumption that everyone will fail. And this is something that we've engaged with, we've mitigated, because it's unlikely that everyone will fail. And we've already given you reasons as to how, even if you fail, there are probably some transferable skills that will result in better outcomes for this individual, even if they fail. But we were quite charitable to say, yes, okay, maybe majority of people will fail. But that was the really smart framing that we gave in first, which is that like narratives are built surrounding the harms that already exist in society. Narratives act as a counter narrative to the harms that exist. So yes, people are suffering, but the fact that we push people to work hard means that we push people to prevent the harms from happening in the future or reduce the harms that exist in the status quo. So our case was already more dynamic than the Gov team because all they're saying is that there are so many harms. We said the only way that you can fix those harms is by working hard. And the third observation I want to make is that they actually conceded to this. They want to work hard too. They just don't know how. They're just saying that there are plenty of problems to working hard, but they haven't proven what those problems are. And I mean, they did prove what the problems are, but they didn't prove how these problems are solved at all. Right. Three issues that we conclusively win. Firstly, on social movements. I've already weighed this in the second speech that was completely dismissed by the speaker after that. And that is that social movements are the antidote to all of the systemic failures that exist in society. Talk about activist burnout and how we need people to work hard and believe that there's payoff in order for them to ever be successful in the future. This was unresponded to, therefore this is important. The reason why this is debate winning is simply because that's what drives people to drives correction in society. All the issues that Gov highlights are solved when there are people that believe that these issues are problematic and therefore lobby to change those issues. We're the only team that comes any closer to actually solving them. But secondly, we want the issue on agency because sure, they gave us some pushback to how agency doesn't exist that much because of the systemic problems in society. But our argument again was quite dynamic in first to argue that agency is something that you create yourself, that even if you fail, at least you're doing something that you find some validation in, that you find some a meaning in. So you work hard, but you're working hard for yourself, for your family, for your friends. And this is already inherently good thing if both of our worlds are really bad and are systematically oppressive. But the third issue that we conclusively win is on innovation. My teammate gave brilliant analysis as to how this was debate winning because innovation is the only way that you can ever push society to the next level. So if all of the arguments that Gov gave exist in the status quo, that is incredibly short term. Our argument was more robust than that. We proved that the benefits materialize in the distant future, and that's something that we win more. For all those reasons, we take space.
Thank you, Passion Reply, for that speech. To close out the debate, I would like to invite the Governor Reply to deliver the reply speech. So when you're ready, just let me know on the count of three.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, first of all, the side opposition did not was not even listening to whatever we have come up with our argument today, that we are from side government proving that talent, skills, resources, money has something to do additionally with hard work. Since in my first speech itself, I said that we are not neglecting hard work. With talent, skills, resources, money is there where you go somewhere and you get something from it. And for example, innovation is more higher on our side of the world. It's more better on our side of the world. Why? Because yes, you do need hard work for innovation, but do the innovative people, do like people like scientists and everything, without skills and passions, they wouldn't be there. So do in your side of the world, you're trying to say that you don't even care about these skills and passion, and you just want to exhaust some people by putting force on them like hard work will pay off, because that is the stigma that you are putting in this debate. And the next thing I would like to say about motivation and the success rate. In our side of the world, motivation and success rate is better. Why? It's because we are not lying to people. We are telling them the truth. We are telling them that if you can't do this, you don't do this. We have to accept. We have to be realistic, like what my whip have stated. You have to be realistic with what you have. If you have this, go for that. Do not fool people by trying to say, even though I can't reach the maximum level, if I put hard work and I'll reach what? You end up getting exhausted. You end up in depression and you end up dead in your own room. Okay, for example, next, I would like to say that in your side of the world, that in our side of the world, that being motivated is that being realistic. You try something that you are par on and you're not fooling any other people. For example, like activism, the things that you came up with, like it proves that you want to be successful. Activism people, they are not there if like big people have not like politicians or have not like hand in this situation, you know, they are there to like help you out, which means there is connection there, panel, there is connection. And again, this proves that in my first speech, I've already pushed the burden to side opposition, where you failed to prove that. We said that opposition must prove that the underprivileged people, like what we are talking about, our entire thing, underprivileged people have the equal opportunity when they put the equal amount of effort, the equal amount of hard work like the privileged people. We didn't even hear any counterback from the side opposition. So you can see that. And next is like, we matter, side government, we are saying that how long will you motivate them? How long? How long will you go again and again? You say that Kamala Harris has again another chance in the election. When? How long she has to wait? And again, she's going to lose because people are going to be like, oh, man, guys, like, you know, women are like more powerful because even though, like, you know, I don't know, it's just the stigma that the society has created. So you never mentioned that how long are you going to motivate a person? And you said that journey is important. Okay. Journey, fine. Yeah, journey is important. Okay, maybe you said, but then journey is like, what if the journey is a failure? Again, it's a failure. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to just like keep motivating, like again, like whatever you said in your speech, celebrating them. That is all temporary methods. Like you celebrate them, you give them incentive. It's all temporary. Hard work supposed to, again, I'm saying hard work supposed to give an absolute payoff, happiness, closure, fulfillment in every aspect of your life. And you don't deprive yourself from it. And we want payoff. Why we want payoff is like, for example, for example, we have been training for debate for years. But why we are improving, why we are getting better is because we have a good coach. Because so the outcome, look at the addition, because of a good coach. It's not because of only our training and our effort that matters. It involves like some tricks and turns in debate. And that's how we are here today. And another thing, that we are not rejecting the ideology of hard work. We're saying that it shouldn't convince that it will in fact pay off. Hard work can exist without unrealistic assurance that it will pay off, and which in fact it hasn't proved in reality. So with that, we are very, very proud to propose. Thank you.
So thank you, Governor Reply, for that speech. That marks the end of the debate. The judges will now make the decision on the side who wins the debate. I'd like to thank everyone for the rounds. So I'll open the breakout room and I set the timer for 10 minutes.